Hi, I'm Amy Barackman, and this is One Room at a Time. This is the place where we talk about all things design and really all things you, because good design is about you. Now, if you ever feel overwhelmed or frustrated by design, maybe you're not sure how to put everything together, I really just want you to know you are not alone. That is the most common thing I hear from people, clients or otherwise. And even my clients who are hiring a designer, it's not because they don't have good taste. In fact, they have the best taste. They're not hiring me to tell them what looks good. They're hiring me to show them how to put it all together. And that's really what designers do well. We are really good at the symphony of the whole process. Not everyone's brain works that way. It's the same reason why a lot of designers aren't that good at accounting. If you have an accounting brain, you're probably really good at the little details and the minutia, whereas designers tend to see the big picture the best. But we don't need to talk too much about that. What we do need to talk about is the process of design. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say, will you please like and subscribe to this video? I always forget to say it early in the video, and I want to make sure I do it because it is important. It helps me to continue to share with you. It also guides what type of content I'm putting out there. So I love to hear from you in the comments, and by you liking, subscribing, maybe sending to a friend. It's really helpful. So I appreciate it. And what we're going to be talking about today is getting started on interior design, which is really the beginning of the process. I couldn't possibly walk you through the whole process, but I have written down the whole process in my book, shameless plug, The Living Room Design Formula. It's available on Amazon, and the whole process is here. So if you are getting started and you want to keep going and you really want to create a beautiful room of your own, please pick up the Living Room Design Formula, minor investment for professional design advice, and you are going to love having a step-by-step guide that is going to show you exactly what to do and how to take the things you like and put them together in a beautiful and cohesive way. So, with that, the first part of the book is all about you. As I always say in the beginning of one of my episodes, I say, good design is all about you, and that cannot be overstated. I find sometimes people start by, they see a room that they like, and they decide that's what they want. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I highly recommend that you use inspiration images in your search. But the first thing you need to think about, the very first thing in your process needs to be about you. What do you use this space for? How do you use it? Who is using it? Who is coming in every day? Who's coming in occasionally? You really need to open your mind to all of this, because that picture that you see that's beautiful, it could maybe also be beautiful in your room, but will it serve your needs? Good design is not good design if it isn't functional. Beauty is important, maybe just as important as function, but it is not important on its own. We need the function behind the room. So the very first thing I do with any client is we talk about, how do you use this room? So as you're starting the journey and you're going through the design process, that's the very first thing I want you to do, is think about all the different ways you use the room, and maybe all the ways you'd like to use the room. Or sometimes clients have ways they don't want to use the room anymore. And that is something that we're going to build into the design. Let's say the kids have been using it for pillow forts, which is fun. And if you love that, you should keep doing that. But I'm just giving an example. If a client said to me, it drives me crazy. My kids take all the pillows off my sofa, they build a pillow fort, and then they never put it back, and it ruins the pillows, blah, blah, blah. We could work around that. We could choose a sofa with a tight back that doesn't have pillows that come off easily. There are lots of things we could do to switch a problem, to make a problem less of a problem. Again, pillow forts are cute. I'm not saying don't do it. In fact, it's one of my favorite things to do still. So the first thing in your process is figuring out what you use the space for. And then the second thing is really looking at the space. This is where you really need to measure. You really need to consider all the adjacent spaces. In the living room design formula, I walk through a long list of questions that helps with this. It asks you, what time of day do you use the space? How many windows are in the space? Do you have doors in the space? Do you want more doors, less doors? It goes through a lot of different questions to really get your mind going so that you can come up with solutions that are really useful to you. Sometimes in this process, I'll work with a client and they're like, well, yeah, I do wish I had a door there, but it's just not in the budget construction-wise. Well, that's okay, but I want to know that because it might actually help us in the long term. If you tell me now, or if you tell yourself now, that you want a door on a wall, well, then we are not going to buy a gigantic piece of furniture to go there, right? We're not investing any money there because in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter. We might do something there. We might put a door there. So maybe we look for a much more affordable piece of furniture for that wall, something that moves easily, something that you could use in another room or you wouldn't be upset with if you had to part with it. We're going to change our design and our budget according to our needs. Okay, so you're going to figure out what you need the space for, and then you're going to really look at the space. Now, with the living room design formula, you are going to be able to go on my website, barrickmandesign.com. That's BARRICKMAN design.com. And on that website, after you buy the living room design formula, you will be able to download a living room layout and measurement guide. And this guide is super helpful. It is something you can just print out and you can use to very easily go through your space, gather all the information you need. This is going to be really helpful when you're shopping online, but also if you're going to a store, you're going to be able to bring these measurements. It's going to make your life so much easier. So that is on barrickmandesign.com. Also lrdesignformula.com. That is going to have a link to where you can get the living room layout and measurement guide after you purchase the living room design formula. Okay, so first we think about who uses the space, when they use it. Then we think about the actual physical space. Now it's time to get inspired. This is when I want you to go on Pinterest and Instagram and all of the sites, Google even. I get remarkable inspiration from Google sometimes. This is when you go on all of the sites and you look at the things you love. But wait, don't do it yet. Okay. It's so easy to get overwhelmed, don't you think? So easy. So I want you to do it thoughtfully. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to search for a key term. Let's say we're working on a living room. Of course, it could be any room. Let's say we're working on a living room and you're just going to look at purple sofas. Maybe not purple. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Pick one term. That's what you're focused on. Now, as you look through these different websites, you're going to be bombarded with all of these images. And fair warning, some of them are going to be sponsored ads that don't lead you to what you need. Stay focused on the ones that aren't sponsored. That's mostly on Pinterest, but on other sites too. Okay, you're going to be bombarded with all these images. If you get a reaction, if you love one of those images, I want you to look at it. Maybe you're saving it, but what I care most about is that you take one moment and identify, what do I like about that image? Sometimes a client will show me a photo that they found on the internet or in a magazine or whatever, and it's beautiful. And I ask them, what do you like about that image? Now, sometimes I have an idea what I think they like, but sometimes I'm surprised. And sometimes asking that question makes them realize that the thing they like doesn't even make sense in their space. Here's an example. Okay, I had a client show me a picture of a gorgeous room and it had these beautiful double height arched windows. And I had a feeling maybe that was what she liked about the room. So I said, "What do you like about this room?" And she thought about it for a moment. She said, "Well, I like the sofa, but I really love the way the light is coming in the space." And I was like, "So do you think you like the windows?" And she was like, "I love those windows." I'm like, "If this room didn't have those windows, would you like the contents of this room?" And she was like, maybe. Not particularly. And the point is, it answers the question, right? A lot of the things you're seeing online either are, it's a studio or it's a high-end location where they are taking pictures, or a lot of times now it's AI generated and you don't even know what's real. Those are still great for inspiration, but it's really important that you ask yourself that question. What is it that I like about this room? And if you ask your question, if you're looking at purple sofas or brown sofas or beige, whatever, if you're looking at purple sofas and you look at the room and you say, "I love the sofa," that is a great sign. Or if you say, "I love that light fixture," and you already have the idea that spatially it is going to work in your room, bonus. But if you look at it and you're like, I like the feeling, I like the ceilings, I like the architectural details that we maybe can't add, although we can add a lot of them, but you're identifying what it is so that you can integrate this into your room, or you can leave the photo behind. Because the most important thing is that we do not have too many inspiration photos. I really want you to focus on 2 or 3. 2 or 3 overall inspiration photos. We're going to look at a lot of photos in this process, but that's how you're going to start. And in the Living Room Design Formula, which you can get on Amazon, in this book, I will show you not just how to go through and narrow down your options, but how to begin to put the options together in a way that will be cohesive and look great. And we're going to use a mood board system to do that. There are a lot of mood boards online. You can find apps that work with them. Personally, I think it's so much better to make a real mood board. Like, I get the real, the thick poster board, not the thin poster board you had in high school or elementary school, but the thick poster board. And I want to put those photos up there. I want to print them out and put them up there. In my opinion, there's no better way to see what you like and see what goes together than looking at that in real time. The screens, they just don't quite do it. That doesn't mean you can't do it. You do what works for you, okay? But I've told you how I feel. So maybe try it. And if the screens are working for you, I support that. That's totally great. So the first step was figuring out what you use the room for, how you use it, when you use it, all those things. The second step is really taking in all the measurements and understanding spatially what you need. And then the third step is getting your inspiration. So beyond here, what we're doing is we're taking the inspiration and we're taking what we need and we're fusing those things together. There is a lot more in the Living Room Design Formula. This is now my 3rd or 4th plug of the book. Sorry to keep plugging it, but I did write it all down for you. So check out the Living Room Design Formula. It's on Amazon. It's easy to pick up. And to be honest, it's a really small price to pay for professional design advice, right? If there's any designer out there giving her design advice for the cost of this book, then she's really affordable, or he is very affordable. And I would be a little bit worried about about the quality of their advice if it was an in-person consultation. But I have it all written down, the Living Room Design Formula, and you can get that on Amazon. You can also go to lrdesignformula.com. There's information about the book there. And then after you buy it, make sure you download that measurement guide. That layout and measurement guide is going to be a game changer. It even comes with, you can cut out furniture to scale to use on graph paper. So that's going to make your life so much easier when you're figuring out where everything fits. And when it comes to fusing what you love and fusing what you need in terms of space and function and size, this is going to give you a lot of those solutions. So that's how you get started on the design process. I know it can be overwhelming. It's the thing I hear the most, and there's no need to get bogged down. Take it step by step, break it up into little pieces, and you can create a space that you absolutely love. As you know, I recommend doing this one room at a time. That's really important because by doing it one room at a time, you're able to focus. You're able to give the room the intention that it truly needs. And some people are worried that this will make their home design drag on and on forever by doing one room at a time, but actually, the real life experience is that it goes much faster because you're able to focus, you're able to make decisions. Your budget is streamlined because you're focusing on one room. And you feel good about the room you put together and you want to move on to the next room. So that's why one room at a time is really important. Anyway, I thank you for joining me today. I've got to get going, but I am getting started on the next book in the One Room at a Time series. Now, I already have a request from the publisher, but I want to hear what you think. If there is a room that you really want to get to, please tell me. Put it in the comments, shoot me a message, whatever, because I really want to hear what you need. My content is all about figuring out what you need, and I want to do that more. So thank you again for watching. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.